Moving on to the storylines that we had going into the Chinese Grand Prix, I'm going to eliminate that the weather was going to maybe be a factor. It wasn't. The rookies, I'm not really going to have to go over all that. We kind of talked about that at length. And the flight impacts, I don't know if it really had so much of an impact.
It wasn't anything that was really talked about on anything regarding to the race, or
nobody.
It seemed like everything kind of got smoothened out and figured out.
Yeah, nobody seemed to be complaining about the flight delays when it came to the actual performance of the cars on the weekend. So something that was interesting, but didn't actually end up becoming much of a problem. But I do want to start with McLaren and their wing. I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but
it was a massive talking point.
It was a massive talking point, and I think they were definitely affected. They went from killing laps. They had a 15-second lap gap, over Max Verstappen in Australia. Thin margins to keep things going, really, in Australia on the dries. They were putting up insane lap times, and then this comes down, and obviously they still ended up getting a 1-2. It's not like the performance was massive. It killed them from winning races, but the field's tightened up because of this.
Yeah, it has tightened up, and you could tell. And like I said, it wasn't a dominant weekend by McLaren whatsoever. Ferrari looked good in the sprint. They looked good in the sprint qualifying. Obviously, Oscar turned it on. He had a really good weekend, but just like we talked about earlier, this is not by any way, shape, or form decided by McLaren. This is not going to be a McLaren runaway season or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we knew that it was going to, I want to say the word we used was, it was going to hinder McLaren, but it wasn't going to stop McLaren from dominating. It wasn't going to stop them from being good. And it's not going to do that for any of the teams. Don't get it wrong. It wasn't just McLaren trying out the flexi-wing operation. And, you know, they responded as they needed to, and they made the adjustments that they needed to, and they moved on. But it was a massive talking point, and it looks like that they're going to be able to get it figured out.
Yeah, everybody on the grid was more or less affected by it in one way or the other. But, I mean, it really did narrow down that gap. I've talked about it a couple times. I mentioned it earlier, but 11 seconds to the next constructor is a much closer finish than it sounds. I think if you're within about that 10 to 15 second mark, you're really just not that far away when it comes to lap over lap. That means like you're maybe only giving up a tenth or two, or you know what I mean, like over the course of the entire race.
Right.
Some variables here and there, but that's a lot closer than I think McLaren were expecting things to be. The conditions were super favorable for them, and still being that close to the competition behind, everybody's got work to do. I mean, McLaren are obviously off to a great start here, but you've said it over and over again. Like, anything can absolutely happen during any one of these race weekends.
I mean, it was this time last year that we thought Red Bull was going to run away with it.
Yeah.
Right? Because Max had such a dominant start to the year. We didn't know that Checo Perez forgot how to drive a car. And we were like, oh, Red Bull might run away with it once more. And it took a heavy turn.
No, that's an excellent point.